This week in social studies, we are identifying characteristics of good citizenship, certain and specific characteristics of what good citizenship looks like, and then also looking at people who show good citizenship to others and how that portrays in the world that we live in. How are we going to show 2 weeks of lessons within 1 week? I just don't know if we're going to have enough time for that within our lessons this week. So I wanted to kind of meet with you guys and see what kind of a project maybe we could do outside of our lesson time that the students could work on together to identify some of these good characteristic traits within our community members that we need to learn about.
Okay, because it's like 2 parts to this one standard. So you like identifying, but then you have the how does it look in organizations or people. Mm-hmm. Are you wanting it to be a group project like within your time with them? Because I heard you say you don't know, concerned if you have enough time in your lesson block. Are you wanting them to do something in a group during your time? Or does it need to be like
they need to learn about what makes a good citizenship, what shows good citizenship, and what characteristics do people need to be good citizens. Mm-hmm. And so we have to teach about the different types of ways to show good citizenship, mm-hmm. but then there's also the people. So maybe something that they can research on their own, not necessarily group work, but learning about these different individuals, and then maybe us coming together and letting them do some of the teaching through what they've learned about the different people. And
in our reading PLC, your team is struggling with getting all of their things and components into, and so we were talking about how to get stations going, but they were like, well, I don't know what stations we could do or have, and Miss Coffee really wants them to be like purposeful and not just, so they could do something during that RLA station time. What do you think?
And now, are you planning on teaching like the characteristics, direct teach those, and then they can then research the people and tie them in together? For the planning PLC, I will pull up the social studies curriculum to get information on the people and groups, as well as the characteristics that are being taught. I will put together a Google slide that includes directions, both orally and in writing, as well as videos that will walk students through the project. So that kind of takes care of your working on the people, and then a station that they can work on. We're kind of helping with both in the same time. I would just need, if that's something you're interested in, I would just need to know like exactly who it is that you want them to work on, and what all you want them to get out of it.
Each day they're going to be learning about a different type of way to show a characteristic of being a good citizen. So they're also supposed to research individuals, or learn more about individual people, and then how those people demonstrated these characteristics.
I know you have the social studies weeklies. I can pull in the articles from that. I can also find other articles and curate them together and have a link for the students to go and find the information about all of these individuals and groups, and
that would be really nice.
We can do that, yeah.
Because then they don't. These are from Social Studies Weekly, but I think we could probably formulate into one. So we have our characteristics. So what the characteristics are, in a way that they could show it, and then more specific on that person.
I can put something together, and then when I'm done, I'll share it with you so you can look through it and make sure it's what you want, or if there's anything else we can add, and then we can work together to push it out to your kiddos and show them how to work it. Once I have completed the slide, I will share it with the teacher to ask for feedback or allow her to add to it. Then we will schedule a time for her classes to come to the library to work on the project and then again to present.
Could we maybe schedule a time to come down to the library and they share that out?
Yes, and they can share. We have the stage, so they can get up on the stage and share up there.
I think they would love that.
Yes.
They're going to be so excited.
That would be great.
Okay, girls, so just by looking at the no-show chart, we know that our comprehension, focus, and reading will be text organization. And so before we go into that, I just wanted to also just speak about foundational, because I know I've seen some just concerns that I have with the students. So I also included a foundational TEK of 1.2 AI, producing a series of rhyming words. And I just know in passing, we just talked about how a lot of our students are struggling with rhyming words. With my experience, they're like getting the beginning sound of words confused with like rhyming words need to end in the same sound. So I brought a couple of things just to share with you guys. I just wanted to also just see what suggestions, you might have in helping us with rhyming words.
Yeah, in kindergarten, it's a lot more focused on like identifying, but there is some more of that producing where we do see a lot more of the slip ups. So I think this will help.
Great. One of the things that I've tried to also incorporate are just like word family books, just ending in the same sound, and with just making a little flip book for the students. I tried to do it in color and with pictures so that, I'll be able to reach all the students if they're having trouble with reading the word. That's been kind of helpful for them thus far. Just during my station time or grouping, just give them one and going through those with them.
I think this is a good idea because for what I noticed whenever we've done poetry, it's like they think it's just that last sound, that last letter. And so having them see like, no, it's the chunk or it's that last syllable, that last ending of the word will be really helpful.
Yeah, I like this too.
And then I know like sometimes, we did play a game one time on the carpet where I feel like you also need to present nonsense words to them to rhyme as well, because you guys will test for that or what have you. We did it with their name, like they would say their name and then they give a rhyming word to match
that's
their
a good
name or what
idea.
have you. So that was fun for them. So I don't know, what do you think? I know we probably need to come up with a CFA that we could just assess with the students. Ms. Robinson, you have a suggestion?
Actually, I do. It's actually an activity that I've done in the past with kindergarten. I have something already made. It was rhyming, and we did coding with B-bots, where I put up on the screen, I put a picture of something, and they'd tell me what it was. And then on the table, on the mat, there's pictures of words, and they have to find the rhyming picture and then code the B-bot. So it would be learning how to do the coding of the B-bots and practicing rhyming. They wouldn't be producing the rhyme, but they would be finding the matching rhyme. So that's an activity.
I love that though, because
So
I
if
love
you
the
want,
B-bots.
I can I can get that activity together, and you can bring your kids down to the library to do that activity.
Yeah.
And like
help
Ms.
them out.
Haas said, with the chunk of the word, that would be good if the pictures had the word underneath it, so they can
Okay.
look for that chunk.
Okay.
Because I even had to look up a word
Moon.
on her. And so I know that some of them I may have to explain the pictures in
Right.
advance to them.
Yes.
What have you?
help.
For the no-show chart PLC, once I am finished with that, I will go back and look through the 5 Kinds of Nonfiction website, which is the book study I'm working on, to see if there are any ideas for lessons on central idea and details. Once I find a lesson and a book that I have in the library, I will email the teachers with a general idea of what can be done. If they're interested, I will schedule a time to plan the entire lesson with them and times for them to bring their classes.
So you could like orally say a word, and then they can tell you like yes, it doesn't, or no, and then they see it written, and then they can tell if they can recognize it as a rhyme. And now they have to write it themselves. That way,
Those stages.
and then we can identify those really strugglers that can't even hear the rhyme.
Or which part of the stage they're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They can hear it, but they don't recognize.
That is right.
And use that to create your groups.
Sounds good. Okay. And then I'll send you an email once I find my activity and get ready, and then you can get on library schedule and sign up for a time if you want to bring your classes down to do the rhyming activity. Awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. Hi, how did your last DCPs go for you?
I think overall, they've shown some growth, but, we're still struggling with the revising and editing part, especially when it comes to them actually applying it to their own writing.
Okay.
I was just going to see if you have any ideas.
Sure. Are you wanting them to revise and edit like a piece that they've written, or do you want them to do kind of like STAR practice where they're looking at a piece that's already written and they have to answer questions and go back and do the revising and editing on their own? What is it?
I think it would be good for us to, start with like the STAR packets, and
Okay.
that way we can see how they're doing and apply that
Okay.
skill and, then try it on their own in their own writing.
Okay, awesome. So I'm thinking with revising and editing, I know it's kind of like searching and trying to find the mistakes in the passages. We have this past year have gotten some really cool experience kits in the library, and I'm thinking one of those would be really good because it's to make the revising and editing a little bit more engaging, because
that
that's
would
not
be
much fun. So we have one that's like a detective kit, and I'm thinking that one would be really good. We also have a sports one, not sure, and then there's a movie one. I don't know if the movie one would really tie in too much to that, but I'm thinking maybe
Yeah.
the sports or the detective one would work.
I think the detective one would be neat because we could like solve a crime or solve
Yeah.
the editing crime.
Right, we can do that. Okay, so use the detective kit to help them do revising and editing. Okay, so in the detective kit, I think they'll really like that because we've got hats that they can wear, sunglasses, there's magnifying glasses. I think there's even like little badges in there that we can give them a badge, so it's like an official detective, and crime scene tape that we can put on the tables. So I think that'll be really
They'll love
fun for them, instead of just saying, here,
Yeah.
do this revising and editing. Okay, so do you have any idea of where we might be able to get passages or like examples of something that they would see on the STAR test? Or-
Yeah, we could definitely use some of the, released STAR tests
Yeah,
that they haven't done yet,
okay,
that they haven't seen before.
okay. Now, are you wanting them to work individually, groups? How are
I think
you
in this
envisioning?
setting, I think it would be nice for them to collaborate.
Okay.
So they can help each other and hear each
Okay.
other's thinking process.
Okay. Good. Now, how many groups are you thinking would work for something like this?
We'll have about 21 to 22 kids
Okay.
in each class. So I don't think I would want to do more than like 5 or 6 kids in a group.
Okay. So we could do
like 4 or 5 groups.
4 groups,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, so if we can find some STAR released questions, if I remember correctly, I think the editing ones were a little bit shorter,
Mm-hmm.
and the revising ones were longer.
Yes, those are more comprehension.
Right, so there's
sections.
more that they'll have to do
Mhm.
for that one. So maybe we can find a couple of editing ones that they can kind of switch and then do more revising. So they can take a little bit longer and then switch
Okay.
between them.
So you're saying because the revising ones are longer, maybe we would just stick with one revising
Right.
passage. They would do that one
Yeah.
and then switch. Maybe we would do two
Two
editings.
editing, yeah.
Because that would be about the same length. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would work. Okay.
So I'll find those for us and make the copies.
Okay.
We also have an anchor chart that we use for editing
Okay.
and revising that I can pull from their journals, or
Okay.
I can bring like a.
That would be great, something
Mhm.
they're familiar with from the
Mhm.
classroom.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, and I will get all the badges put together. After the DCP PLC, I will take inventory of the items that are in the experience box and determine what needs to be done to make sure this lesson is enriching for the students while they are revising and editing. I will help the teacher find the passages that we will use for the lesson. We can get on the library schedule and sign up for a time
Okay.
to bring them down.
Awesome. This will be fun for
Okay.
them.
Yes. If there are any questions before the lesson, I will either talk to her or email her to get clarification.
Okay, so let's discuss our TEK 3.9 DI.
Okay. The student is expected to recognize characteristics and structures of informational text, including the central idea with supporting evidence.
So our main focus today is central idea. So let's work on our no-show charts. And let's begin with what students need to know.
So the central idea is the main focus or the controlling idea of a text.
Yes, very good. And then I also notice it is supported by facts or details, specific examples. So it has to be supported by those details.
So when thinking about that, what do our students need to be able to do?
So for one thing, from the TEKS guide, I see here that sometimes the central idea is going to be stated, so they should be able to highlight the central idea
Mm-hmm.
from the text.
Okay. Yeah, and to add to that, like, they need to be able to make an inference if the central idea is not clearly stated. Just reading between the lines and taking note of that.
And right, we need to really model that. That can be a challenge for some students as they make that inference. Now, also, they can figure it out by reading the title of the text.
Mm-hmm.
And since it is informational text, also the subheadings that can give them an idea of what the central idea is.
Mm-hmm. And then, being able to support their central idea with evidence, that really goes hand in hand with our ECR writing.
Yes, that's so important because we can tie that to our writing piece.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the vocabulary or the pre-teach,
Mm-hmm.
so then one of them is central idea. They need to understand the central idea of a text.
Mm-hmm. And then supporting evidence or details. Those are some words that they might see in questions that they would be asked about central idea. I think those would be some key words.
Yes, and for the part of the reteach, I've noticed sometimes students get confused with the central idea and the details. So we need to differentiate between those two vocabulary words.
Mm-hmm.
That the details is not the central idea, it's just supporting the central idea.
Yep, exactly. I agree.
They can use a graphic organizer,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be more like a web central idea in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and then they could find the facts or the details from the text
Okay.
that is supporting the central idea. So that way they're providing the evidence.
Okay.
I'm actually doing a book study right now, and it's actually about nonfiction, learning, helping kids get engaged and excited about nonfiction. So if you'd like, I can look through, there's a website with some lesson ideas and things I can look through and see if there's any lessons in there about central idea in detail. And then I can send you an email with the ideas, and maybe we can get together and plan something together and have your kids come down to the library and do a lesson based off of one of those activities that I find.
That would be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That would
Well,
be
good.
awesome.
I will get on there and look for an idea, and then I'll send you an email with what I find. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
It's awesome.
After the CFA PLC, I will go back into my Google Drive to search for the rhyming lesson that I have used in the past to see if it needs to be updated for what the first grade teachers are wanting. Then I will send them an email asking them to sign up for a time on the library schedule to bring their class to the library.